classes conducted by Samagra Shiksha, Andhra Pradesh, VIZIANAGARAM district. My name is Bharathi Korada, subject Social Studies, working at Kharasvalsa KGBV from SALUR, VIZIANAGARAM district. Hi, good morning my dear children. How are you? I am hoping here all of you are fine. Yes? Myself, I am Bharathi Korada, subject Social Studies, working at Kharasvalsa KGBV from SALUR, VIZIANAGARAM district. I am here to teach you 8th Standard Social Studies, Chapter 3. I ask some questions. Where do you live? On Earth. Good. What is the Earth? Earth is an model of the globe. Good. Earth movements and seasons. Today I will deal changing seasons is very important concept. I will deal seasons. Before going into the seasons, let us recall what is rotation. The action of rotating an axis. The action of rotating about an axis. How does Earth rotates? Earth rotates on its axis. The moon moves in the same direction as a Earth rotation. What is an axis? It is an imaginary line which is going from north to south. So, it is connecting North Pole to South Pole. Earth will turn around this axis. According to ancient Sanskrit literature, the year divides 6 seasons. What is the 6 seasons? That is, first one is Vasanta, that is spring season. The second one is Grishma, that is summer season. The third one is Varsha, that is monsoon season. The fourth one is Sharad, autumn season. The fifth one is Hemanta, pre-winter season. Pre-winter season. The last one, the sixth one, Shishira. That is winter season. These are called ritus. Today I will teach changing seasons. One concept is very important concept. Changing seasons. Human beings live along with a large community of plants and animals. We can observe constant change in the course of the year. The flowering and fruiting of trees and plants, changes in the animal activity in our surroundings. As months pass by, you would have noticed that trees shed leaves, stand where new shoots come forth, they flower and fruit. You may have also noticed that in different times of the year you get different kinds of vegetables and fruits. In some months it is very hot, and in some month it is cold or wet. Can you relate what are the major seasons you have seen? Spring season, summer season, winter season. These are the seasons we have seen. Find out if there is anyone in the class who has lived in distant places where the seasons are different. Get them to describe what happens there. In coastal areas, for example, Visakhapatnam and Vizianagaram, due to having seashore, they don't feel much hot in summer due to, for example, in Rajasthan, due to the Thar desert, which is very largest desert in India, feels more hot in summer due to more temperature. Observe the picture given below carefully. Do you think the trees observed in the pictures are same or different? What are the changes you can see in the trees? In the first picture, you can see that the tree and its surroundings are covered by snow. It is a kind of soft ice. In the third picture, you can see the same tree sprouting leaves. There is no snow. In the second picture, the same tree has fully grown leaves. In the last picture, ripe red leaves are falling from the same tree. Do you know why these changes are occurring? Yes, that is right. That is reason of seasons. Have you ever seen your surroundings covered by snow? Yes, we can see snowfall at Lambasingi in winter season. It falls to 0 degree in our state, Andhra Pradesh. This is also called Andhra Kashmir. In some other states, you may have seen it flooded by water during rains, but never snow. Some parts of the earth get so cold during some months that they get snowfall instead. For example, look at the picture. This picture of Ohio in USA. It snows heavily in the northern countries during winter. In summer months, it is not so cold but still much cooler than in our state. However, the funny thing is that in those countries the day is much longer in summer, so much so that you can see the sun even at midnight. Find out which country is called the land of midnight sun and locate it on the globe. Norway is called the land of midnight sun. This red color part is called Norway. Find out its latitude and compare it with the latitude of Andhra Pradesh. The main latitude of Norway is 62 north and longitude of Norway is 10 east, while the main latitude of Andhra Pradesh lies between 12 degrees 41 minute and 19.07 degrees north latitude and 77 degrees and 84 degrees 40 minute east longitude. Locate Australia, South Africa and Chile on the globe. This is Australia. This is Africa. This is Chile from South America. Australia, South Africa and Chile, these are also called the countries of the southern continents, that is, continents that are south of the equator. In these countries, the cycle of seasons is different. They have winter when we have summer, and when we have winter, they have summer. In the fact, this is the pattern in all places in the south of the equator. Look at the globe and find out the names of countries which are south of equator. This is Asia: Indonesia, Argentina, Peru. These are the countries in Asia which are located in the south of the equator. This is Africa: Namibia, Zimbabwe, Switzerland, Botswana. These are the countries in Africa which are located in the south of the equator. This is South America: Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil. These are the countries in South America which are located in the south of the equator. This is Australia and Antarctica are the continents entirely of the south of the equator. Europe and North America are the countries are totally north of the equator. Did you find any continent which is entirely to the north of the equator? That is North America and Europe. Did you find any continent which is entirely to the south of the equator? That is Australia and Antarctica. Did you find any continent which spread both of the north and south of the equator? That is Africa. You are not the only ones with such questions. For thousands of years, human beings have been curious about these matters, and over time have worked out the answers. Let us try to understand why seasons happen, why we have some parts that are warm and some cold, and why are the seasons opposed in the northern and southern hemispheres. To understand these, we have to understand the complex interaction between several factors. The spherical shape of the earth and the curvature of its surface. The spherical shape of the earth because the earth is a sphere. The surface gets much more intense sunlight at the equator than at the poles. During the equinox, the sun passes directly overhead at noon on the equator. Second one, daily rotation of the earth on its one axis. Earth spins because of the way it was formed. Our solar system formed about 4.6 billion years ago when a huge cloud of gas and dust started to collapse under its own gravity. As the cloud collapsed, it started to spin. Third one, the tilt of the axis of rotation compared to the plane on which the earth moves. Just earth has seasons because our planet's axis of rotation is tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees relative to our orbital plane, that is the plane of Earth's orbit around the Sun. But the orientation of the Earth's tilt with respect to the Sun. The Earth's movement around the Sun once a year, that is revolution. Revolution. For Earth to take one complete revolution around the Sun takes 365.24 days. Because of February month has 29 days in a leap year. This amount of time is the definition of 1 year. The gravitational pull of the Sun keeps Earth and the other planets in orbit around the star. Number 1. Curvature of the Earth. What is meant by the curvature of the Earth? A rounded, bent or arched shape in something is a curvature where there is a wide expanse of open ocean. You can see the slight curvature of the Earth right where it meets the horizon. The Earth receives most of its energy in the form of short wave radiation from the Sun. All the solar energy entering the Earth atmosphere system is radiated back to the space, maintaining the temperature of the Earth atmosphere system. How the region around the equator becomes warmer than there near the poles? Because the equator is closer to the sun. Because the sun's ray hit the earth's surface at the higher angle at the equator. Solar energy hits the equator constantly throughout the year. The colder poles receive less solar energy due to Earth's curvature. Second one, Earth's rotation on its axis. The Earth rotates or goes around just like a top spins. What does it go around? It actually rotates around an imaginary line which joins the North Pole and the South Pole. This line is called the axis of the Earth's rotation. All parts of the Earth go around this line once a day. In other words, the Earth takes about 24 hours to rotate or go around its one axis. It moves from the west to the east. If a globe is facing you, it rotates from your left to the right side. You can see the western portion moves towards the east. The sun, the moon, and the stars appear to rise in the east and set in the west. This is, of course, an illusion created by the eastward spin of Earth. The first and foremost effect of Earth's rotation is the daily alternation of day and night. Each portion of Earth's surface are turned first toward and then away from the sun. Similarly, the sun illuminates and one half of the earth. The edge of the sun lit hemisphere called circle of illumination. It divides earth into two parts. That is, one is light half, another one is dark half. What would happen if earth did not rotate on its own axis? The portion of the earth which is in front of sun constantly gets sun's heat and light, and the other portion remain dark and cold. The bright half is very much hot and the dark half is very much cool. The rotation helps the earth to get heat and light. Third one, Earth's tilt and revolution around the sun. The earth revolves around the sun while rotating round its own axis. It spins like a top. Also, at the same time, keeps moving forward around the sun. The motion of the earth around the sun is called revolution. Each revolution takes about 365 days and 5.56 hours. This is the length of a year on the earth. How does this cause the formation of seasons on the earth? As the earth spins on its own axis and also moves around the sun, we get day and nights. As the earth tilts towards the sun closely in the direction of west to east, we get summer season in north side and winter season in south side. As the earth continuously moves in the direction of west to east, we get autumn season in north side and spring season in south side. When the earth reaches east side, we get winter in the north side and summer in the south side. When it reaches the original point where it starts, we get spring season in north side and autumn season in south side. This happens in 1 year, that 365 days, 5.56 hours. This is the reason why these seasons forms. What do we mean by inclined axis? The earth is always tilted in the same direction as it moves around the sun. The axis of the earth makes an angle of 23.5 degrees with the vertical or 66.5 degrees with the plane of the earth's orbit. The earth axis rotation does not stand 90 degrees vertical on this plane, but it is tilted on it to form 66.5 degrees angle. Also, in other words, it is tilted by 23.5 degrees, where 90 degrees less 66.5 degrees equal to 23.5 degrees. As Earth moves around the sun, the Earth axis remains tilted in the same direction throughout the year. It keeps pointing the pole star which we can see in the northern sky in the night, and this is called polarity of axis. We can see in the picture what happens when the earth goes around the sun in this manner. During some months, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, while in some months the southern hemisphere faces the sun. When the northern hemisphere has summer, the southern hemisphere has winter. When 6 months later from July coming to the December, the position changes. The northern hemisphere has winter and the southern hemisphere has summer. We can also see in some months, like March and September, it is the equator which faces the sun directly, and both the northern and southern hemisphere get similarly the energy, the rays, sun rays from the sun. Temperature belts on the earth. Let us see how this effect of the tilt of the axis combines with the spherical shape of the earth to influence distribution of solar heat over the earth. We saw earlier that when the solar rays strike the earth's surface, they fall straight in portions which face the sun directly and fall at an angle as you move away from that portion. The angle keeps increasing as we move towards the two poles. As a result, it is hotter in the areas which face the sun directly, less hot in the areas that receives the sun rays at an angle. The tilt of the axis, the area which faces the sun directly, keeps shifting throughout the year. In March, the sun shines directly over the equator. In June, it shines directly over the Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere. In September, as the earth travels further around the sun shines directly over the equator. In December, it shines over Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. We can see a belt in which the direct rays of the sun fall at some time of the year. This belt extends from Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. This is called tropical belt. This belt gets more heat energy from the sun. In northern hemisphere, June 21st is the longest day because at that day the sun reaches to the Tropic of Cancer. In both northern and southern hemisphere on March 21st and September 23rd, we get day and night in equal hours is called equinoxes. For example, in a day of 24 hours, we get 12 hours of daytime and 12 hours of nighttime. When we move northwards or southwards of the tropic belt, we reach a region where it gets very warm in summers and very cold in winters. This is called temperature zone. Also, the northern portions of this region get snowfall in winters. If we move further north or south of temperature belt, we will reach the polar region. The seasons in this region are very different. This region is away from the sun during winter months and do not get sun rays or sunshine in the day. That is, for 6 months there is no sun on the poles. The next 6 months it constantly faces the sun throughout the 24 hours of a day. There is no night or darkness, a place which has 6 months of a day and 6 months of night every during the day. The sun does not rise high in sky but only stays just above the sun rays point. This is also called horizon. So, it never gets very hot. So, for 6 months it is freezing cold. The Arctic Ocean remains frozen throughout the year, so that the soil becomes frozen like a hard rock and root of trees can't penetrate them, so that trees can't grow in this region. Assignment. Children, I hope you understand this lesson, and I will give a small assignment. Now note the questions. Assignment number 1. Why do you think Andhra Pradesh does not receive any snowfall during winter months? Second one, what are the 6 seasons of Indian climate? Answer the given assignment questions. The end. My thanks to the Andhra Pradesh Comprehensive Punishment VIZIANAGARAM for giving me a great opportunity to teach classes online. Thank you for watching.